Hello, my name is Tim, and I've very recently just come out of a narcissistic relationship with someone I think had a very severe form of NPD. It didn't last very long, but I don't think a time scale matters when you're with this kind of person. Someone that's been very, very helpful to me is Dave over at Narcology Unscripted. His videos are really good to help you understand what's happening, because it's very, very traumatic and it's very, very difficult to absorb what's happening to you. We were together all in all around about 2 months. Firstly, we met in Wales on the island of Anglesey, and we were at a function, and she came down this grand staircase which looked like the one in the film The Titanic, and I was just blown away on the spot. I mean, this woman was totally my type, super sexy, elegant, she just looked beautiful, really nice figure, stunning looking, and my mouth, literally my jaw hit the floor. I just thought, wow, who's this woman? So I found an opportunity. She was outside and she was going for a cigarette and she asked me for a light. So I said, well, I'll give you a light if you tell me if you're single. And she says, well, yes, I am, as a matter of fact. So I put my hand on the small of her back and kind of walked her away with me and took her to somewhere quiet where we could talk. So we spoke and we got on really, really well and really hit it off, full of smiles. I mean, the chemistry was incredible. I mean, you know, it was really, honestly electric. I was just stunned that, you know, this person was like so into me, you know. So we met and had 2 kids with her. She's got a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. But as it was a function, and it was a big grand, you know, country house hotel, and it had lovely landscape gardens and a play area for children and things like that. And when we were chatting, she was obviously overseeing the kids and making sure they were okay. But we spent quite a lot of time together, a good hour or 2. The kids were out a few, and you know, she gave me a nice kiss before I left, and then I went back up to the campsite where I was staying with my friends. Anyway, the next day I came back and I had breakfast with her. She was really pleased to see me. So then, you know, there was a lot of texting going on. First couple of days, she lives 100 miles away from me in central Wales, and I live nearer to Liverpool in the northwest of England. And you know, it was absolutely explosive. I mean, we just seemed so happy that we'd discovered each other, you know. So we got chatting, and then we were talking over the phone. Unfortunately, the day before I met her was my last day in work. I'd been laid off from a managerial position with a web design and graphic design company that I'd held for 5 years, and they were having financial problems, and I took redundancy. I was laid off. So I was trying to pluck up the courage, because I wanted to be as forthright and as honest as I could with her, to explain to her that unfortunately I wasn't working, but I was due redundancy, and it was just one of them unfortunate things that I didn't even see coming, and I just explained the situation. She was very, very understanding. You know, she said, oh, it's okay, I've been through the mill, you know, we've all been there, these things happen, it's out of our control, there's nothing you can do about it, just be positive, and a new opportunity will arise, you know, another door will open. And all of this was like really filling me full of confidence. Not that I lack confidence anyway, you know, I'm a reasonably confident guy. But all of this, I was just pinching myself, you know, that there was this beautiful, caring, understanding woman. And I'd been completely honest with her because I felt I needed to be, because I really wanted to get to know this woman. And she was so understanding. I mean, that really, really made me think, oh, this woman's amazing. So obviously I'm not working, and she had some time on her hands that week, and she had a few days off work. So I decided to ask her if it was okay if I drove down to see her. She said yes, that'd be fine. I didn't want to push anything, but it's a long drive. So I said, you know, I don't need to be rude, but would it be okay if I stayed? You know, we can go out and get some dinner and stuff. Nothing in it at all, it's a long way to come. And she said, yeah, I can't see that being a problem. So, okay. So it's a beautiful summer's day. I drive down to mid Wales, beautiful part of the world. I mean, lush, you know, green scenery, mountains, forests, streams. You know, I'm a great love for the outdoors, and it was just an idyllic setting. We meet up. I drive to the local pub, which is in a tiny little village. You know, really oldie worldy, like farmhouse style pub. And I'm sat there waiting for her, and she arrives, walks up to me, straight away kisses me, and we just literally stand there and kiss for maybe 20-30 seconds. And it was electric. Immediately I just thought, that isn't something that you normally do straight away. You'd normally give it a couple of dates and maybe have a kiss at the end of the night. You know, she was completely all over me, kissing me. And I just reciprocated because, to be honest with you, it was lovely. It opened it up immediately. We felt like we could be affectionate. I went and got a couple of drinks. We sat in the sunshine outside. And it was like just stroking each other's hands and touching each other's arms. And, you know, I had my arm around her, and it was just really free-flowing. It was like there was no effort. We weren't, you know, it was as if it just worked. It's not like there was not any boundaries to push or anything like that. It just felt completely natural for us to be that way with each other, even though we didn't know each other. So, you know, we had a wonderful time. She invited me back to her place. I cooked us a beautiful dinner, and we just sat up talking for hours and hours, kissing, cuddling. No sex. Sex only happened 2 weeks later, or a week and a half later. So obviously I've got time on my hands, I'm not working. She had a day or two off. And obviously the boys were there later on that day. And I'm very respectful to people that have children. Obviously I've laughed and joked with them at the function, so they kind of knew who I was anyway. Kind of rung some alarm bells because I was kind of introduced to the kids virtually straight away, and you know, there's this strange man staying in the house, although I stayed on the sofa. But she was quite happy to do that. After a couple of days I was staying, and then she had to go back to work. So I said I'd drive home, I had things to sort out. So I hit the road, and I got 10 miles down the road, and she phoned me up and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." She said, "As you drove off, I didn't want you to leave. I really don't want you to leave. It's horrible seeing you go." And I was really pleased that she said that, because there was nothing in me that wanted to go. So she said, "If you really don't have to go home, you can always come back and stay for the rest of the week." Obviously I'm not working, I've got time on my hands, I live alone, no issue. And I just thought, do I go home or do I go back? She wants me to go back, I want to go back. as strange as it sounds, I missed her already, and I was just so happy that she said, "Come back, stay with me." So I did, and the first week or so was absolutely incredible. This is what I deem to be the love bomb phase. I was pinching myself. It was like everything I liked, she liked. The same music, the same holiday destinations. We just had so much in common, and I was explaining to her that I don't think I'd ever met anybody before where it was like this easy to communicate, be together, be affectionate. The electricity, the chemistry between us was incredible. It really blew me away. She blew me away with the way she was and the way that she behaved towards me, and she was so affectionate and loving and caring, and got to the point where we started staying in the bed together upstairs. Sometimes the boys would be there, but in their bedroom. Other times they wouldn't, and we still hadn't slept with each other at this point. But it was really lots of affection, cuddling, falling asleep with the head on my chest, waking up, cuddling each other in the morning, whispering sweet nothings, telling her how beautiful she was, telling me how handsome I was, how she was so lucky. The stars must have aligned that day when we met, because she was supposed to be taking a date to this function where I met her, and she took her best friend instead. A best friend came round for dinner one night in the first week, and she said to me that her best friend had said just the way that I was with her and the children, and the way that we were all sat around the dinner table together. Her best friend apparently had told her that it was as if I was meant to be there. And this is all music to my ears. I mean, literally within the first week, I was falling in love with this woman. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. The national lottery had just come in every single way. And it was absolutely incredible. So a weekend comes, and we go off to the coast. I stay at my auntie's caravan. And that's where we first had sex, when she didn't have the children. And it was absolutely electrifying. It was incredible. It just worked so well. Walks along the beach, watched the sunset together. She was thanking me and saying, I can't believe you've brought me to this magical place. There's nobody in the world I would rather be here with than you. I feel like I've known you so much longer than we've already known each other. I don't like the thought of us not being together. Even when we're not together, I miss you. And all the things she's saying are things I probably mentioned to her, but this was music to my ears, and I just thought, this is all going way too fast, but I'm absolutely loving it. I'm on this ride, and I don't want it to stop. So after a couple of weeks, I just said to her, I said, listen, I think you're incredible. We've got so much in common. We get on so well. The children are used to me. They've both told you that they really like me as a person. They think I'm funny, witty, all that kind of thing. I was playing football with the kids and all this kind of stuff. And I just said, I really want to be with you. I'd like you to be my girlfriend. Now, one thing that kind of, I didn't really think about it at the time, but when I asked her to be my girlfriend, the first thing she said, and she went, what, like exclusively? A little bit of an alarm bell. And I just thought, well, isn't that what boyfriend and girlfriend is? Exclusive to one another, monogamous relationship. And I said, yeah, exclusive, just me and you. And she kind of had a look away, and then she looked back at me with a really big smile, and she went, I'd love to be your girlfriend. I'd love nothing more to be your girlfriend. So, you know, I've within 2 weeks I've hit the jackpot. Then after that weekend, I had to go home. We'd been discussing dogs because I've never had a dog, and she said she would really love a dog. She'd had a dog in the previous relationship that she was in, and the dog had stayed with her ex-partner. But she said she really wants a dog for her and the boys because she lives in such an idyllic place, surrounded by fields, you know, forests and streams, lovely places where you can go for walks, where the dog could be let off on his own with no fear of, you know, running after cattle or cows and sheep or anything like that. So I think this is when the devaluation process started, because a few days later, when I hadn't seen her, she'd been a bit distant, and then she mentioned something about the weekend when we were away, because I ran out of money on the last day and she had to buy like a meal and a few drinks. And I explained the situation. She knew I was out of work, one thing and another. I was waiting on the redundancy payment to come from work. And, you know, and then she started like saying, well, I just thought I found it very strange that you'd run out of money after you'd asked me to go away for the weekend. I just said, well, you know, we'd planned it together. I don't see why you'd be relying on me financially, knowing my current situation. I did what I could. And she just said, oh right, well I just found it really unattractive. And, you know, after somebody had completely and utterly love-bombed me for weeks, put me on this pedestal and said I was everything she'd ever wanted, everything she'd ever looked for. You know, it's like she put it all over Facebook, photos of us together, you know, videos of us singing in the car to music, just really happy, nice times. And I'm not a big fan of splashing your life all over social media. So first of all, I was like a bit dubious when she posted these things, because I have to approve any posts so that they go on my wall. But I thought, you know, this girl's dead genuine. She's obviously really excited to have me in her life. So I went along with it. I accepted it. It went onto my wall. Everyone was saying, oh, really happy for you. All the rest of it. About a week passes and I noticed that certain posts had been taken off. And then she was just like, I think this is all going a bit too quick. I think I need some time to myself. I don't think this is going to work long term. I'm like, I don't understand. So she backs off. I just need a bit of space. Then she comes back and she says, oh, there's something I've done. Don't be mad at me. I was like, okay, well, what's this then? She said, I've looked at a rescue dog that lives near to me. Me, not her. I said, oh yeah. And then she sends me all the details. And she contacted this rescue centre called the Wags Rescue Centre about a dog called Reggie. And he was beautiful. And she said, I'm sorry for the way I've been a bit up and down lately. You know, could me, you and the boys go and see this dog? Because I'd really like to get him for us as a family dog. I was like, yeah, I suppose we could. Again, a bit shocked, but I just wanted to please her. I wanted to make her happy. You know, this to me was like, she was really accepting me into the family after this little wobble. And she wanted the dog. So we got the dog. Sorry, just checking the camera. So we got the dog Reggie, and everything was great. And taking him for lovely walks together, you know, and with the boys, and throwing the ball for the dog, and absolutely overjoyed, really happy. And then she just started saying things and, you know, poking fun at me, kind of thing, and then tried to call it a day via text message one day when I wasn't there. So I went to see her, and sorry, I had the dog at the time at my house for a few days because she was busy with work and one thing and another. And she said she needed a bit of space. So I said, yeah, fine, I'll keep the dog for a few days. You do what you need to do, spend a bit of time with the boys, all the rest of it. And my redundancy had been paid at this point. So I had time on my hands, and I'd never been to Scotland, so I thought me and Reggie, that I was bonding with, really closely, really falling in love with this dog. I decided to go up to Scotland, a 7-hour drive to a castle, the castle that was used in the film Highlander, because I'd never been to Scotland. So I thought, okay, I'll have because the push-pull had started, the devaluation had started from the experience I've gained since. At this point, I was starting to get really annoyed and pissed off because she just couldn't be consistent. It was hot and cold. You've done this wrong, you're doing that wrong. The next day it'd be, oh, you're the best thing in the world. It was all too consistent. I was getting very confused and really annoyed. So I thought, I'm going to take the dog, have a few days to myself. So I begins the drive to Scotland. I get 3 hours into the drive. I'm near the border of Scotland. The phone goes. I'd stopped at the service station to let Reggie have a wee and give him a bit of a walk, get him some water. And it's her on the phone, and she's like, I was supposed to be going to hers that day, and she'd rang and said, I need some space. Let's leave it till later in the week, or I'll come and get the dog from you. Which I thought alarm bells were ringing, because I was supposed to be spending the week with her, and the dog all together. That's why I decided to go to Scotland. So she phones me and she's like, where are you? I said, I'm on my way to Scotland. 3 hours into the journey, there's 4.5 hours to go. She went, oh right, okay. I'm sorry I've been really off with you lately. It's my hormones. I get scared when I meet people. I want it to be perfect, all the rest of it. I really miss you, and I'd appreciate it if you came to see me today. And I was like, really? You told me you want time to yourself and you didn't want to see me this week, even though I was ready to come to yours first thing this morning. Now I've decided to go to Scotland and I'm halfway there. Yeah, I know that, but I really miss you. And she was proper pulling on my heartstrings, and I was missing her badly because I was so confused. So I thought, well, there's 4.5 hours still to go to get to the destination. I still hadn't booked a hotel or anything at that point. We were either going to camp or sleep in the car because the car's big enough to sleep in. So I thought, well, do I continue to go, spend some time with the dog, give her the space that she wants, but now she's begging me to come and see her because she misses me. I was missing her too, so we ended up turning round, 3 hours back down the motorway to where I lived, then a further 2 hours to her house in central Wales. Gets there, has a lovely evening, sleeps together, gets up, she gets up for work, I fire up my laptop, obviously I'm checking emails, applying for jobs, all the rest of it. After pulling me back all that way, she just had a face on her like she was in a bad mood, and I sat her down and made her a coffee, and I said, look, is everything okay? And she said, no it isn't actually. I said, why, what's the matter, what's wrong? And she said, I'm just unhappy. I said, I don't understand. She said, I'm just really unhappy, I don't think this is working. So I said, and naturally, as you do, you question them and you say, okay, so you clawed me all the way back from Scotland yesterday telling me how much you missed me. I stays last night, we have a lovely evening together, and then this morning, miraculously, you've decided that you're unhappy and you don't want to be with me anymore. So I'm questioning everything. I'm saying, what is it? Did I do something? Did I say something wrong? She said, no, it's just, I'm just not feeling it. I just don't think it's going to work long term. And I said, well, why not? You don't know. You've got to work at it to find out. At this point, I was feeling really low, really anxious, upset. And I was angry. So, I just said, well, if that's the way you feel, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't change your mind. God knows I've tried. And this was before she was due to go to work first thing in the morning. So I just said, right, well, I was supposed to be staying for the week. Do you still want me to stay? And she said, I think it's best if you go. Can you take the dog with you? He's bonded with you more than me. Which I thought was really strange, considering we've got him as a family dog. Now, the week before this had happened, I'd explained to her that I'd been single for a couple of years. And all I've ever really wanted at my age, I'm 46, I've never had children of my own, is to find somebody young enough to potentially give me a child. If they've already got children anyway, that's completely fine. All I've ever really dreamt of is being part and parcel of a family, a loving family setup. And a week before this, I had that. And one summer's evening, we walked from her house and we went to the local pub. She didn't have the boys this night. They were at her parents'. And, it was a lovely summer's walk, beautiful scenery, an idyllic place that I so much wanted to spend time there. And, we're holding hands and she's like clutching my arm and resting her head on my shoulder as we're walking, and we'd stop and kiss, and we were just talking about how happy we were and how we couldn't believe how we'd found each other. And, I'd told her that, I'm really happy that I'm a part of this family, and the dog and everything. And she just said, there's no need to worry anymore. You've got the family you always wanted. And I could have cried on the spot. I was that happy that I thought I'd found everything that I'd ever wanted. I'm so confident. I felt so loved and warm and really, really happy, And then this devaluation with Scotland, like a week later. And I was absolutely staggered how somebody could go from telling me that I'm the best thing in the world, you have a loving family now, there's nothing to worry about, to being told that she's really unhappy and she can't see it going anywhere. So I gets the dog and I goes, and the dog stayed with me for a number of weeks. She then showed up at my house one night uninvited as a surprise. I was overwhelmed and really overjoyed. A lovely surprise. And as she walked through the door, she went, surprise, and and I just said, oh, I love you so much. What a beautiful thing to do. So I told her that I loved her. She said, well, just slow down, just slow it down, but laughing it off. I was just so happy to see her, and then we had the most incredible night here. And then she went home very early in the morning, about 5 o'clock, so she could get back for work. Now, she was due to go to Ibiza the week later with her friends, all of her girlfriends, for 5 days. After that night, she was devaluing me massively over text, saying, I really know now that this isn't for me. Really taking a step back, so I'm obviously questioning everything. I'm really hurting at this point, upset, confused. The push-pull is really, really playing with my brain. The trauma's already there. And, she then said she'd come and drop the dog off before she went to Ibiza, and would I mind having the dog while she went away. She said she'd come and pick the dog up, rather. I can't even think now. There was that many times when she had the dog, I had the dog. But before she went to Ibiza, she said, do you mind having Reggie while I'm in Ibiza? We kind of agreed that, if we weren't going to be together, she would keep the dog, because I'm not working. It'd be a struggle for me to keep the dog, although I'd love to, because I've really bonded with him. Another thing that happened before she goes to Ibiza, after she sat me down and said she was unhappy that morning. I mean, I'm trying to get the timeline right, but it's still a little confusing. I was away camping with my friends in a local town very close to where she was, about 25-30 minute drive away, and we were camping, and I had the dog, and the dog was barking all night at this campsite. So I said to her, the kids were off school during the summer holidays at this point, and I'd said to her that I really needed to come and drop the dog off, so the dog could spend a bit of time with her and the boys. So she said, yeah, it's okay, you know, you can come now if you like. So I did, and it was a lovely sunny day. As I arrived, you know, her eldest son was jumping up and down on the driveway saying, Tim's here, really pleased to see me, you know. And she came out, and, you know, we talked for a bit, and she offered me a beer, and she was like really dead fast, you know, we're done, we're not going anywhere. I tried my best to talk around still, you know. I then said, okay, well, I've dropped the dog off. I'm going to go back and meet my friends at the campsite. Her eldest son's saying, oh, why's Tim going, Mummy? I don't want Tim to go. Is he not staying? Which really pulled on my heartstrings. You know, I was really upset. And as I went to drive away, she runs up to the car and she said, look, I'd really like it if you stayed for dinner and maybe stayed over tonight. Music to my ears. Stupidly dropped my friends, went and packed the tent up, drove all the way back. I spent the evening there and cooked dinner for her and the boys, stayed over, woke up the next day. She's off work for 2 weeks then because the kids are off school for summer holidays. She'd mentioned to me a couple of weeks before that she'd really like to take the kids on a camping few days while they're off on the summer holidays, the summer break. But then after that, I categorically said, once she said that she decided that we weren't going to work, that there was no way on earth we were going to go camping. So I stays over, you know, this night when I've brought the dog back, I'm playing FIFA football with her eldest on the sofa, you know, having a nice morning and stuff, and she said, what's your thoughts on going camping? And I said, well, I'd love to, but you said that wasn't going to happen last week. She said, I've had a change of heart. I mean, I don't know where we are, what we're doing, but I'd really like us to go camping. So I'm like, okay, well, that works. But the weather was terrible, blowing a gale. It was right on the coast, but she just said, these kids are driving me mad. You know, I need to get away. It'd be really good if we could go today and spend 2-3 days there. I was like, yeah, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. So we packed up the car with all of the duvets, pillows, camping equipment. The big family tent that we were going to use was back at my house, 2 hours, you know, 100 miles, 2 hours drive north. So packs up her car, packs up my car. She keeps the dog, puts the dog in the car. She says, right, well, I'll drive up to the coast. I'll meet you there a bit later on today. So I've said, yeah, okay, so I drive all the way back to mine, 2 hours, 100 miles, get to the big family tent. Then I drive across to the coast of Wales, which is another 3-hour drive, so there's 5 hours. She then gives me a phone call as I'm like 10-20 miles away from the destination on the coast, saying that she'd broke down, she'd run out of fuel in the car. It's torrential rain at this point. So I've then got to divert, find a garage that's open, fill up a jerry can with fuel, go and meet her at this pub where she'd broken down. So pleased to see me, you know, knight in shining armour, you're my saviour, thank you, really happy, buzzing. Fills up the car with the jerry can. We then goes to the petrol station that was open, she puts more fuel in, and then she follows me up to the coast. So we get to the coast and it's blowing a gale, absolutely torrential rain. Not the best conditions for camping. So I have this campsite in mind where it's got a big stone wall and big fir trees which would act as a natural break from the wind to put this big family tent up. And we drives onto this campsite. Straight away she turns to me and she says, I don't want to stay here, the facilities don't look that nice, let's go to the one that we stayed at. So I was like, okay, it really would be wise to stay here because it's so windy. She just said, let's go to the other one. So not wanting to be in an argument, I went along with it stupidly. So we get to the campsite, which is kind of on a hill overlooking the sea. So there was no barrier. The wind was gusting in. You know, it's like 7:30. It's starting to go dark. It's raining. So I'm struggling to put this family tent up. And, you know, she's got a face like thunder on her at this point, and I've just rescued her from the roadside like 40 minutes before. I'm trying to put this tent up. One of the poles snap. I'm starting to get frustrated. The two kids are running around. The dog's running around as I'm trying to put this tent up. You know, it's all getting a bit much. The push, pull, everything else. I've been so confused, emotional, upset. Now I've got a real feeling that she wants to give it another go and do really nice things with the family again. So I'm trying to put this tent up. It's 90% put up. And I snapped and I just said, not even in a bad way, I just said, now can you see why we should have stayed at the other campsite where it was sheltered? She lost it. Screaming, shouting, burst into tears on the spot. I knew this was a disaster. Come on kids, get in the car. Throws the dog in the car. I was like, please be reasonable. I've driven 5 hours to go and get the tent. The tent is up. Be reasonable. Wouldn't even look at me, crying her eyes out. Her two kids are looking at her, really concerned. Mummy, what's wrong? I'm bewildered. She turns on the engine and drives off into the distance. I'm stood on a hillside, torrential rain, going dark, with the tent pitched, and the people that I've done it all for drive off into the distance. I literally dropped to my knees and wept like a baby. I'd never been treated so disrespectfully, left confused, questioning absolutely everything, and I'd done nothing wrong. So then I get some kind of an apology out of her later on as she's driving back. I say, I'd like to come to yours, it's only an hour's drive, I've put the tent away. No, I don't want you anywhere near me or my kids. I want to go to bed with my kids. And I'm so shattered, I'm so tired and upset and annoyed. Don't ever speak to me like that again in front of my kids. I was just stunned. So that happened. Then from there on in, it was categorically, we are done. This is never going to work. All on her terms. I've sent this girl bouquet after bouquet of flowers to her home, turned up with flowers, spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds on shopping, making meals for them, taking them all out to dinner, taking them all out for Sunday lunch. I've really bent over backwards. There isn't anything more I could have done for this woman, but it was never enough. So she's decided that it's done and she's going away with the girls to Ibiza. So I goes and meets her at her parents' house, which again is a 2-hour drive, an hour and a half drive for me, because she said she was too busy with the kids to drive up and drop the dog off before she went on holiday. I'd agreed to have the dog, obviously, because I bonded with the dog, I missed the dog. So I goes and meets her outside of her parents' house while the parents are away, and won't even look me in the eye. 5-minute exchange, very flippant, very off, and drove away, and I've got the dog back. I'm just so confused why I'm being treated like this. I've no idea, I've done nothing wrong. And then she goes off to Ibiza. So I didn't message her at all. She's there for 5 days. She messages me twice, sending me a picture of the sunset, and then messages me a couple of days before she was due to come home, asking how I was and how Reggie was. Bearing in mind, all of this is within a 2-month period, a 6-week, 2-month period. I'd met all of her closest friends, I'd met her neighbours, I'd met her work colleagues, I'd met her mum and dad on 4 or 5 occasions. I'd even been to her youngest son's 4th birthday party at her parents' house. As far as I was concerned, she was really allowing me into her life. Went to barbecues with her friends, you know. Everybody genuinely liked me. I'm an easygoing guy, I can get on with anybody. All along she was telling me, you know, how great I was up until the devaluation stage. And I was just mind blown with how everything was perfect. She'd introduced me to everybody that was close to her. Told me I was a part of her family, that she was falling in love with me, she couldn't help herself. And then I wasn't good enough. I was doing this wrong, I was doing that wrong. Really nasty and vicious, you know. So she goes to Ibiza, I've left her alone, she's there with her friends. I've just said, just go and enjoy yourself. As far as she's concerned, we're not together romantically anymore. So I'm obviously destroyed, I'm really, really upset. I'm crying like a baby with confusion and loss. She comes back from Ibiza, she lands, phones me up. What are you doing? I said, I'm just here with the dog. You're supposed to be coming to get the dog, aren't you? Yeah, but I can't. So I might be going to my mum and dad's right now because my children are there. Oh, okay. I said, you don't need to. You can come and stay the night here if you want to. So she says, yeah, I will. So she comes. We didn't sleep with each other, but we had a really lovely time. Lots of affection, lots of kissing, cuddling. She told me all about the holiday. Said she had a good time, but she was shattered. 5 days partying on a party island like Ibiza. I get it. I've been there. I've DJ'd there. I know what it's like. It's a very tiring place. But from that push-pull and from total rejection to then back, you know, she's in my arms. We're cuddling on that sofa. We fall asleep together upstairs, holding each other, kissing. I'm even more confused than ever. She leaves in the morning. Can you keep Reggie for another couple of days until I've organised something and then he can come to me full time? I was like, yeah, no problem. She left for work, texted me with a load of kisses after the message saying thank you for such a wonderful night. You know, I ran her a bath, all candles around the bath. You know, I just said, I'll pamper you, I'll look after you. You've had a major holiday, you just relax yourself. I ran her this lovely bath with candles. I went out, bought her a Chinese meal. You know, I couldn't do more. I was just so happy she was back. She goes off to work, messages me saying thank you, you know, for a lovely night. Very little communication the next few days, but I've still got the dog. The dog's been with me full time there nearly for 2 weeks at this point. And, you know, Thursday she says, do you want to come down Thursday 4 days later to drop the dog off? And I said, well, yeah. But I've got plans to go hiking in Wales on the coast with my friends this weekend, which would have been the Friday, the day after. So I said, I don't want to overstep the mark or anything, but if I'm driving all the way down to drop the dog off for you to save you a job, you know, would it be okay to stay on the sofa as I've got to drive out to the coast in the morning to go and meet my friends? She said, yeah, there's no problem, but don't read into anything. We're still not together. She said, I don't mind you doing that. I just don't want to confuse the boys. Okay, fine. Bearing in mind we were kissing and cuddling 4 days earlier when she came to me first, as soon as she got back from a holiday, instead of going to see her 2 children. So I drives down, I meet them at the local pub that we were so used to going to all together. The boys are there. I take the boys a couple of Peppa Pig cakes, you know, some sweets, Skittles, things like that. Hi boys, you okay? How have you been? You know, it's great to see you. They were over the moon and overjoyed because Reggie was there, hugging the dog, kissing the dog, you know, and she was just very stern with me. You know, she gave me a hug when I arrived. You know, I bought them all drinks. Then I had the ingredients with me to cook a spaghetti bolognese, and we went back to theirs, and you know, I'm cooking them a spaghetti bolognese in the kitchen. And a couple of weeks before, she told me that she previously had cancer. during the love bomb stage, towards the end of the love bomb stage. She told me that she'd had cancer in the ovaries of the fallopian tubes, and that was fine. She'd recovered from that, but the doctor had said she needs to come in for some tests. So this is weeks previously, and I've fallen for this woman like you wouldn't believe. And I just pulls her close, and I said, through thick and thin, no matter what, I'll come to these tests with you. I'm behind you 100%, good or bad. You can rely on me for anything. I'll take care of you. I just want you to be okay, but regardless of the outcome, I'm here for you. I need you to know that. Thank you so much. Big cuddles, all the rest of it. I don't particularly want to go into detail. I don't really want to talk about it. I said, I understand that, but I'm here if you need to talk. So, forward a couple of weeks after Ibiza, I've gone down to drop the dog off. We've just been out for a drink and all the rest of it. I'm now cooking her and her son's dinner at her house. We goes outside and has a cigarette, and we're just talking, and I just said, look, you've not mentioned anything about these tests for cancer lately. And she just said, that's none of your business anymore. And I thought, oh right, wow, no need to be like that with me. I'm only asking because I really care about you, And she just said, well, don't care, I don't care, and in fact I don't even want you here. So straight away, I'm devalued once again, nasty, horrible, black eyes, just no emotion, no empathy, nothing. But I'd just cooked dinner, so we all sit down to dinner. The boys go and take theirs into the living room, and she must have said about 3 words to me during the meal. She didn't thank me for the meal. All she said was, you keep using this dog as leverage, thinking that there's a hope for us. And I just said, no, I don't. I said, I want to be with you and the boys, you know this, I love you. And she's just like, well, I don't love you, I never could. Why do you feel the need to come and cook a meal for me and my sons? We don't want you here. I'd had a few glasses of wine, I was over the limit, I couldn't drive. I felt like flipping the table. She would have worn the spaghetti bolognese if the children weren't there. I was that angry, but because the children were there, I thought, okay, be the decent guy, keep you cool. Although it hurt me like you've never known with the comments that she was making. As soon as we'd finished dinner, she said, right, I'm going to take the boys up to bed now and I'm going to stay there. I said, oh, are you not coming down later? No. Oh, but can you hang around in the morning because I've got to go to work and my friend's coming to clean the house at midday, just so that there's somebody with Reggie. I'm never going to see Reggie again after this, you do realise that. This dog that I've grown fond of, bonded with, fell in love with. I can't sleep. She goes off to bed. It was the last time I saw her. I stayed clutching the dog from about 9 o'clock that evening till about 5:30 in the morning when the sun came up. Said my final goodbyes to the dog. Had a last look around the house and then left. Got 10 minutes up the road, really long straight road, forest either side, hyperventilating. I hadn't had a panic attack in 10 years. I had to get out of the car in torrential rain just to get my breath. I felt like there was elephants stood on my chest. Massive panic attack at the roadside. I managed to calm myself down. And that was that. As a direct result, I'd suffered with perianal abscesses in the past due to stress. Immediately an abscess formed within days. I was in hospital for 5 days awaiting theatre to have surgery on this abscess. Never felt so ill in my life, like really mentally drained, like I was on the point of a breakdown. That's how shattered and lost I felt, and ill. She'd made me ill. Her friend was still my friend on Facebook. She'd got everybody else that I knew, her parents, other friends. They'd all deleted me and blocked me. She'd asked them to block me on social media. She'd blocked me on everything. Her best friend had been in hospital the week before to have her ovaries removed. She saw that I was in hospital because I posted that I was in hospital again on Facebook, and she inboxed me to ask me how I was. I then said, "Do you mind if I call you?" I gave her a call. We discussed all of the things that I've just told you. She knew half of it. She said, "She's never had cancer. Why would she tell you that?" Her best friend said that she had never had cancer. So I just said, "Look, is there anything you can do? Please try and speak to her. I love her. I miss her. I just need her back. I'm really ill. I'm on such a ward if she feels the need to come and see me." I then get a message off her saying, "If you ever contact my best friend again, or me, I'll be ringing the police and having you charged with harassment." That was the last contact I had with her over a month ago. And it kills me every day from having everything and doing absolutely nothing wrong to having nothing. And it's a real struggle. It's confusing, it's upsetting. Various channels on YouTube have helped. Dave, Narcology Unscripted. Please check out that channel if you've had any experience like this. I'm only just learning about narcissistic traits and NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. With everything that I've explained, if anybody's watching this that really knows and understands, I feel I was with a covert, sadistic narcissist. I can't think of anything else or any other reason why somebody would do what she's done and then devaluate me as she has done. Never showed empathy, never shed a tear, never told me that she loved me, but told me that she was falling in love with me. She mirrored me from day one, told me everything that I needed to hear, put me on a pedestal, devaluated me over weeks, using the dog, push, pull, and then completely, got rid of me with threats of police, which that just shows what they're capable of. I mean, that's my story. I'm staying no contact. It's the best policy. It's not going to open up old wounds. It wasn't a very long relationship, but that will leave forever lasting damage because it was a dream come true. And then the more you research it, the more you realise it was absolutely nothing. It was just a complete lie. So please respond to this video if you've had similar experiences. I'm still unsure because I'm only learning about narcissism, but I'm quite convinced that she is a real, brutal, very selfish, sadistic narcissist who actually never cared. She thought I was grade A supply, field source. There was obviously things that she wasn't quite happy with. Throughout all of the time that we were together, she was on her phone an awful lot, but I'm not a jealous guy, I'm not an inquisitive guy. I never once asked who she was on the phone to because I trusted her. And I now know that she was on the phone either grooming new supply or dipping into the pool of X's that these people use for, grade B, C and D supply for when things get a little lonely and they need that extra attention, adulation and the things that narcissists require just to function. So I think I've gone on long enough. I really wanted to share this story just to make you aware of what people are capable of, just so that you can maybe pick up on some of the signs if you get into a relationship with, a possible narcissist. I'm still unsure, I'm still second guessing all of this, but I'm educating myself. it would be nice to know that she was 100% a narcissist, and because normal people just don't treat other people in that way. I still miss her very much. I miss the boys. I miss my dog like you wouldn't believe. I've not seen the dog in a month. It's like I was prepared to change my life for this woman. You know, she'd even talked about me moving in. I started looking for jobs in the area where she lived. My entire existence in the space of 2 months got turned upside down and then flattened. So that's my experience. It's been a long one, but I needed to tell that. Thank you for watching, and best of luck to you all in the future. Take care.